Teacher talking sports, what it does, what it do, how we living. Once Dan Snyder gave up his ownership of the Washington Commanders, sold the team, it was met with basically universal happiness from the fan base of the team. Really, nobody had anything positive to say about him. Well, that is until recently. Albert Haynesworth. Do you remember him? Albert Haynesworth, seen as one of the worst free agent signings, not just in Washington team history. They were the Redskins when he joined them, but NFL history, signing a 6 year, $100 million deal to join Washington and only lasting 2 seasons, was benched in his second season before he was traded for a fifth round pick to the New England Patriots. Well, this is via CBS Sports. Albert Haynesworth calls Dan Snyder, billionaire fantasy owner, refers to ex-Washington standouts as trash. So we'll get into both of those. Haynesworth spoke with Outkick's Hot Mic, and talking about Dan Snyder, he said we were like super cool. Everybody's like, Dan's an a-hole, whatever, but he's not. Everyone's like, he ruined Washington, D.C., he ruined the Commanders. This guy, who he was, he loved Washington. He's like, watching every practice, he's doing all that stuff. Also mentioned thing about Dan, he didn't know a ton about football like that. I call him and I'd say this to his face. He's a billionaire fantasy footballer. So imagine you have billions of dollars and you own a football team, and when you see all the NFL, you're like, bro, that's a great player. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna get him. You've got to have that dynamics between the team, the coaches. You've got to have the right coaches to be able to put that together. You can't just go do that. You can get a few players and stuff like that, but you also have to build within the draft some trades and just getting those guys and getting that dynamic together. So while he did have some positive things to say about Snyder, he also mentioned he probably wasn't the most knowledgeable when it came to football. I believe it was Jay Gruden who came out and said that Snyder basically gave the final word on who the team should draft, even though he did no scouting, wasn't going to see the players. But Haynesworth really got into this. So, on top of his comments about Snyder, Haynesworth also put former Washington players DeAngelo Hall, Clinton Portis, and Chris Cooley in the crosshairs for how they acted throughout their tenures. That locker room was a joke. I got a couple guys I still talk to, but most of them are trash. They'd be talking coming out of the tunnel what club they were going to, and they got a table, and it's the ones that be like chirping, talking about me. I'm just like, dude, I could call you out about all the stuff that you guys were doing, so don't even like bring my name into it. Yeah, it's all them, like DeAngelo Hall, Clint Portis, Cooley. They're a joke. They belong in Washington because they are what the team represented back then, which is trash. So definitely not mincing his words when it comes to three of the better players in the Dan Snyder tenure. Of course, the Dan Snyder tenure did not go well at all. They were a very good team under Joe Gibbs, winning 3 Super Bowls, never came close to a Super Bowl with Snyder. But what do you think about Albert Haynesworth calling three of the team's franchise's stars in recent memory, calling them all trash? I will say this. I don't think it's anything any of those three should lose sleep over. Haynesworth was known as a locker room malcontent, got into arguments with coaches, spats with coaches. He's had run ins with the law. Of course, famously with the Tennessee Titans, he stepped on the head of offensive lineman Andre Giroud with his helmet off. Became a dominant player, had back-to-back seasons where he finished second and fourth in Defensive Player of the Year voting with the Titans, thus why Washington gave him that enormous deal, but almost didn't pan out from the start. Had a subpar first season with the team, and as I mentioned, didn't start a single game with the team his second season before being traded to New England. So we'll have to see if any of those three respond. Honestly, I don't even think they need to, because I don't think anyone's taking Albert Haynesworth's word on the situation. I think a lot of people are just laughing it off. He's not really a beloved figure in the Washington, D.C. area. Anyhow, don't forget to subscribe. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend to subscribe. Like the video, share the video, hit the bell for notifications. I'm out.